Hello lovelies, I am here today to share a card that I created with the new image for Oddball Stamps, and I am over at the Oddball Stamps blog to show you how I made it. So this image is the new creepy cute images for today, and she's super adorable. She is called Little Miss Misery, and you will be getting her in your inbox if you have signed up to the Oddball Stamps Creepy Cute Chronicles. So make sure that you sign up if you haven't done it, and visit my blog so that way you guys can see all of the details for that information below. And so what I'm going to be doing with her here is just using my Copic markers to color her in. Now, for Copic markers, I don't have that many, so I mostly use my skin tone colors. That's what I have, and then just a few others. But you'll see me use those again and again. Along with that, I am using my Spectrum Noir markers, so I'll show you how I color the rest of her in a second. And this video has been sped up obviously because I do not color that fast, and I just kind of tried to blend in a couple of different colors. I do add a little bit of shading there with the different markers, or two different colors, sometimes three. I'm trying to pick the colors for her lips, and I decided to kind of leave them. I wasn't too sure if I wanted them to be more pink or more red, but it kind of goes. So here I am going to be coloring her hair, and what I wanted to make it look like a black hair, but at the same time a little bit grayish. So I'm starting with this IG color from Spectrum Noir, and what I do is I always set down a base of colors. So start with your lightest color and then move on to the dark. Once you are like more comfortable, you can do it the other way around, and a lot of people that have colored a lot do that. They start with the darker color and move down to the lighter. However, I don't think I'm comfortable to do that yet because I'm afraid that I'll mess up and then have to start over again. So I play it safe and I color the way that I am used to. And like I said, if you're a colorist and you've done this before, you probably are just saying, I could make it easier for myself, but I just kind of go with what I've done before. So I'd like to flicker here a little bit, and I'm just trying to choose or decide where I am going to be adding that darker color, and this is where I will be leaving highlights, or where I want the highlights to be in her hair. So I'm starting by going on the lines that are on the image. Again, this image, or super adorable image, is by Lizzie Love. So if you guys don't know who Oddball Stamps and haven't seen any of her images, I definitely encourage you to visit the Oddball Stamps Oddball art shop and make sure that you guys check them out because she has tons of images. So I will leave a link down below, so make sure that you guys check it. And like I said, there is a lot of images. This particular one, you'll be able to get it for free if you sign up to the Creepy Cute Chronicles, and that is just a newsletter that you get every week, every Friday night, with a free image every time. So it's super amazing. Now, for me making my card, I am going to be using the premium version of this image, which means that if you sign up for a premium membership, you can get a free image, or you get an image every month. So there's a monthly image that you can see, and you could also see the project that I created. I actually have a link to my Instagram. I didn't share it here because, like I said, I'm slowly easing into making videos again, so I don't have a video for that one. But again, you get that monthly one, and then if you are a premium member, sometimes you get a little bit of additional images or more freedom to do things with the free image. So in this case, you get a sentiment and different things. So that's the version that I'm using, but you can definitely grab this little cutie and color her. She's just super adorable. So here you see I am adding the darker color for her hair, and now I'm just going back with the lightest, just kind of filling it in to blend a little bit, and you can see that the highlights are left there already. So that's how you do highlights. Or that's how I do highlights, but I think that's pretty much done with her, and she's starting to look oh so cute. I wanted to make her eyes green, but I wanted to use what I had at hand, so it was this darker green color, and I didn't want her eyes to be that dark. So I am just using my blender marker to kind of pick up a little bit of the color and then just slowly add it in, so I don't accidentally just use such a dark green for her eyes. Though I do have a bunch of other markers, but I was just trying to grab what I had in front of me. And here we have her her eyes done. Now we're going to move on to adding a little bit of eyeshadow. I did a little bit of pink, but ended up changing my mind later on and did purple because I did her little outfit purple. I thought it will match, or it will look really cute with the background that I was going to be using just a few days ago, because I am trying to, make more cards or get started into the, crafting card making rhythm. And Valentine's is coming, so I wanted to make some Valentine's cards, and I just sat down and I did some ink blending on some cards. So I will be using that one. I'm not showing you how I did the ink blending because it's pretty basic, and I already had it done ahead of time. So but I thought that the purple would match really good with her, um, with the background. So that's why I'm making her outfit purple. So I'm using this darker again. I love using the tip to tip technique because then that way you can come up with colors. And then if I'm afraid to put in the darkest color right on the paper, I can start easy by adding it with a lighter color. So I just like to have that flexibility that I can start from lighter and then move on to darker if I want to, rather than try to change a dark color to light, if that makes sense, I guess. So here, yeah, like you can see, once I'm done with that, I just go back and blend everything in. Now with this one, I did decide to go in and add a little bit more details with pencil. I did the same for her bow or her headband. So you can see here that, I just go back and color it. Again, I wanted her to match, so I'm making her headband purple as well. And I'm just doing the same thing. This one I did do the darker and then the lighter, but you can see it's a very small image, so it does, section, so it doesn't really matter. You can still see a little bit of that highlight on the bow, so I thought that looks really cute. Now I'm here looking for my colors, so I decided to use my Prismacolor pencils to add details, and I am using, like the darker purple, and just kind of, add a little bit of dimension, make it look more, I can't think of a word, I just spaced, but you can make it look like, like the actual pleats are there, and just try to add a little bit of that detail. That's what I'm doing here with my pencil, because the image is pretty small, and to try to do that with my marker, it will take me forever, and sometimes I'm not patient enough to take that much time. It was already taking me very long as it was to color, but like I always say about coloring, is so therapeutic and satisfying, and it's just relaxing. So I love doing it, and that's the reason why a lot of my cards are cards that I color in rather than piece them together, which sometimes I'm not that great with pairing papers, or paper piece. Some people are amazing at them, and I want to learn to do that, but a lot of times I tend to go onto the coloring because I love the coloring part, so I usually end up doing that instead. So there you have it. Now you can see the big difference that added. So I added some color. Now to add her or to color in her eyebrows, I just used a darker brown, and I didn't add any extra shading, just did straight color, and that's what I did. Now we're going to color this little heart that she's holding, and I decided to make it red, and it has this little ribs right there, so I'm just kind of going around so I can stay. Again, with this one, I did just one color, and I came back with a pencil to add a little bit of detail, or darker just around some areas, to make it look like it was a little bit more dimensional. And I decided to do the same to her lips because I thought that they were a little bit too pink. So now I am going to be fuzzy cutting. So fuzzy cutting is another one of those things that I enjoy doing, and that I think is therapeutic, because you can just sit there and fuzzy cut. Unless you're doing a million images at once, then it's not so fun. But once in a while is good, and that's the only thing that I can do or use to cut this image out. So I am just going, I am going to be losing those little curly cues that are out on the end, but it's really hard to cut all of those out. Now another thing I like to do is with images, I like to go with a dark color to just all around the edges to make the image look more finished when I do the fussy cutting. So if I had any imperfections here and there, it would kind of cover them up, so you won't see them as much, or they won't be as noticeable, especially when you're putting them on a background that's fully colored. I am using this Memento die that has a lot of little hearts, and this die is actually small like that, you can see, but I was going to try to cut it or to do partial die cutting and not cut all the edge, but I accidentally pushed it a little too much, so it ended up cutting the whole thing, which is okay. I'll end up fixing it later. So now this was a fun part, just popping out all the little hearts, which don't throw away those little hearts because you can use them for another card or you can use them as confetti. So definitely don't throw them. So what I did here, I glued on the rest of the paper that I cut. I just used a piece of tape on the back, and I'm just kind of evening it out because I wanted it to be a regular A2 size card, which is 4¼ by 5½, and I needed that extra space there so it didn't look weird. Now here is the sentiment that I cut out that comes with that premium image or the premium version of the image, and it says love, games, and misery. And I decided to do ink blending on it because I didn't want the sentiment to just be, you know, plain white onto this background, and I just, you know, did that ink blending a little bit. Now once it dried, I went back and I colored it in with a Jelly Roll pen, just kind of trace it all back in to bring a little bit of that color, so that way you can still see the sentiment or read it. And here I'm just using my art glitter glue to add a lot of little dots here and there, so that way my panel can glue onto the card base. And I'm just gluing it straight on. So I'm trying to center it. I usually eyeball it. I don't usually measure when I'm trying to center things on an A2 size card. I've actually gotten pretty good at it, and I eyeball it. So now I was trying to use this little heart to put it onto one of the hearts, but I decided to kind of move it a little bit and put it at an edge. I like putting things at an angle. I don't know, for some reason I think they look good. And here I'm just deciding what I'm going to do with the little girl. So I adding dimension, and as of now I didn't have any dimension at all, so I decided to add a little bit of dimension to her head. So I am going to be adding some double-sided tape here. So this is my 3M Scotch tape that I am using, and I am just putting it all over her head because I want her head to be lifted just a little bit. And you'll see me just here adding a whole bunch of it. I left all the footage because this is kind of like a tutorial, so you can see how I put together my cards. Definitely want to reinforce your little neck and just add the foam tape just here and there, as much as I can. Now I added glue on the bottom portion, so the bottom part of her body is glued straight onto the card, and then the top of her head is just a little bit popped. So I think that it just adds a little bit of interest, or just, a little bit of something to that card to make it more special. So here, you can see me adding. Sometimes I could get really, really intricate and really into it. So yeah, that's just me. I want to cover every single thing. I also decided to pull out this washi tape that had hearts. I usually don't use washi tape, and I actually thought of doing that before I glued the panel onto the card base, but I totally forgot. So I am trying to make it straight to make sure that I line it up to the line because, it is going to be a little bit hard to cut it once it's put down. So here you can see I'm just trying to kind of press it with my nail to kind of go to the edge, and I was still off a little bit, so just go back and cut it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I wanted to be as close as I could. So I'm just trying to decide where I am going to put this little miss, and there she is. So I glued her down. And now the sentiment, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it on up top or, down below. And so I decided to put it on the bottom because the top, it's already, I like how the hearts are, there. And I just added glue straight onto it and pressed it down. And then you can see that you can read the sentiment a little bit more. I had already gone with my pen. I added a little bit of sparkle pen or from the Spectrum Noir to the bow, and just to add a little bit of sparkle there. That's the only thing I added on. And then I came back and I went and colored and fussy cut the little, it's a pinhead bat that, again, when I fussy cut him out, I had to lose the pins because it's just so super intricate and I didn't want any white showing, so I left it like that. And I'm using two colors, just adding a little bit of a lighter and a darker to kind of blend it in, to add a little bit of dimension to him, and that's it. So I'm just going to fussy cut him and glue him there, and that's pretty much what completes my card. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Make sure that you check the blog, the Oddball Stamps blog. It's going to be linked down below, and then also check out my blog. Hope everybody's having a super creepy cute Friday, and have a wonderful